Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Hardcore Survival Guide. We're going to the Nether, because it is day 93 of this world, as you can see on the left-hand side there, and I've been sorting out my storage. I've been figuring out where everything's going to go, and I've got precious materials over here, and the more commonly acquired stuff is going to be on the bottom row, so we've got mob drops and plants and that kind of thing. We're going to work our way up to slightly rarer materials, like all of the new lush cave blocks and dripstone and some of the stuff that's been added in this update. I've got my diamonds and emeralds in here, and then I have this chest. And I need to get myself some more ancient debris, because it is day 93, and I think by the end of our first 100 days in this hardcore world, I want us to have, if not full netherite gear, then at least enough netherite that we can have some more durable stuff. We want to have a netherite fortune pick. We want to maybe have a little bit of netherite armor. Basically, we want the best chance of surviving the remainder of this world's lifespan. And for that, I think we need the best armor in the game. But I also want an ender chest, and so I've decided what I'm going to do is go out on the Strider once again and find and raid a Nether Fortress. I would really like to get a few blaze rods in this episode. We can get hold of some blaze powder for brewing and making ender chests with, and from there we can do whatever we want with this world, basically. And I need to go back down to our dungeon spawner down here to see if there was a spare saddle, because if there is, then our prospects of exploring the Nether on a Strider are a little bit better. Yes, there was one. Fantastic. Okay, so even if we can't hook up with our Strider from yesterday's episode, our faithful friend who managed to get us to a warped forest, then at least we'll be able to saddle another Strider and take it, hopefully, to the Nether Fortress. So a little bit more trading with the farmer. I think we're probably going to get some more pumpkin pies, since that was a decent food source last time. And the one other thing I want to get hold of, not in this episode, but in the near future, is mending, because some of my tools and armor can potentially be getting low on durability at this point. The diamond armor's okay, and we can trade more of that, but I want to keep hold of stuff like a fortune pickaxe for the foreseeable future, so mending is going to be a very good way of doing that. But enough chit-chat, it's time to return to the Nether, and I am wearing my gold helmet so the piglins won't bother me. I've got the diamond one on me just in case, though, and looks like it's time to get ourselves a few pork chops. Whoa! And let's wander down here and see if our good friend the Strider is still lurking in the parking garage, and it looks like he is, actually. He's kind of wandered out onto the surface here. Well, buddy, I think it's probably time for you and I to go on another little adventure together. I know, look at you, you're all shivery. It's time to get back in the lava, I think, because if we can ride him out in this direction, then we should be able to make our way to a Nether Fortress. Once again, fire resist potion on the hotbar, because I am not too keen on lava at the best of times, and in a hardcore world it is doubly dangerous. But I think if we explore a bit more of this lava lake than we have traveled previously, then hopefully we should be able to find ourselves a Nether Fortress. And after striding around the Nether for a little while, I have found this, and this was the only sign of it from the lava lake, but we finally discovered a Nether Fortress, and in a weird location as well. It's kind of on the edge of some nether wastes, warped forest, and crimson forest right here, so we are going to have to be extra careful when raiding this, but it looks like this pillar is potentially our way in. Or if we can park the Strider nearby, then maybe we have a good shot at climbing the nearby landscape and going up there ourselves. Now I'm going to get a little closer to the shore here, grab a few blocks of netherrack, and then we're going to build a little corral for our Strider down here lakeside, so that hopefully it won't wander off too much and we can return to it once we're done raiding the Nether Fortress. Striders will comfortably fit into a one-block space, and it also provides a nice space for you to get off the Strider. Bear in mind that I think on Bedrock Edition, Striders can potentially dump you off into the lava, unless they fixed that since I last played, so it is probably worth making sure that you are completely surrounded by blocks and that you have a fire resistance potion at the ready. But we're 830 blocks out from the center of the Nether right now, and that's where I found the Nether Fortress. There's probably one closer to our spawn point, but in the meantime, this is the first one I found. It's the first one we're raiding. Provided, of course, that we can get up there. Staircasing in the Nether is always a risky business, but it's important to have blocks on your hotbar, and the middle mouse button will pick block some netherrack for you, so it's very easy to stem a flow of lava if it is coming at you from above. And I've broken out into a cavern where, oh, there is lava leaking around all over the place, a little bit of glowstone, and just across here, the bridge of the exterior of a Nether Fortress. So Nether Fortresses have pretty consistent architecture. You can pretty much always guarantee that if you see certain features, then you are in the right place. We're going to make a bridge over to it like so, and potentially that's going to be fine. Now, let's take it a little bit steady here and see if we can locate the blaze spawner. There we go. We are in the fortress. A terrible fortress. Actually, not a bad fortress from the looks of things. I do need to block off the lava, of course. There we go. I think I've managed to block that off, and that's going to mean that our exploration here is a little bit safer. One of the main things you need to worry about in Nether Fortresses, of course, is making sure that you don't leap from the parapet around here. And, oh, did I get some spectral arrows? Apparently I had one on me. But yes, a lot of Nether Fortresses generate high up, either above lava lakes or above scenery where there is a long fall. So we need to be a little bit concerned about that. Looks like the main entrance to the Nether Fortress is going to be over there somewhere, where you see those crenellated sections of the fortress. We're going to explore the outside first, because what I'm really after here is finding a blaze spawner. And right now it sounds like a lot of them are coming from the corridor below me. I'm going to block off this lava source here and step back a little bit. And having taken a fire resistance potion, it looks like we've actually got a lot of lava leaking down into the area below. So I'm going to block off this lava source here, and hopefully that should prevent flooding on the lower area of the fortress as well. As the lava recedes, we find our way out into these corridors, and it is probably here on this lower stretch of the outer Nether Fortress that we will find ourselves a blaze spawner. I heard a lot of them crackling around the corner there, so let's take a quick look around here. That is the entrance to the Nether Fortress. You can tell because of this lava well in the center. So I'm going to make a few safety bars for wither skeletons around here, and from this intersection, it looks like, yeah, the stairs at the end there, that means there's a blaze spawner right there. So we're going to come back to that in a second, secure the rest of the passageways around here first, and see what else is here. No, looks like this is a fairly clean section of the fortress, not even any quartz in the walls or anything. Looks like one blaze spawner that way, potentially a climb up to another section of fortress that way. We got a minute of fire resistance left, but another potion on my hotbar, so let's run in here and shoot some blazes. We'll shoot them from a distance with my flame bow, and thankfully this bow is pretty powerful, so hopefully as long as they haven't set fire to too many blocks of the floor, we should be able to hop in here, and yep, looks like we don't have any blaze rods yet. So we'll camp the spawner for a moment here and see if any blazes turn up. Staying high on saturation and food is going to be important here so that we can regenerate health if we need to, because blazes can both attack you from range and melee attack you. There we go. We got our first blaze rod. Fantastic. I don't have looting on a sword yet, so unfortunately I'm not really able to get a ton of blaze rods right now, but one or two should be enough for what I have in mind. My fire resistance potion has worn off, and another blaze has spawned in the corridor behind us, so this is as good a time as any to point out that you can block blaze fireballs with a shield. So if you're running out of fire resistance, there we go, that's blaze rod number 3. If you run out of fire resistance but you're facing down a bunch of blazes, a shield is still some of the best equipment you can have on you, because it can block projectiles of any kind, including blaze fireballs. So let's get maybe one more blaze rod. Looks like that one dropped one. Perfect. And that one did as well. Okay, so we have 5 blaze rods so far. We can come back to the fortress if we want to get enough blaze rods for Eyes of Ender in future, but for now that should be enough to get us started with potion brewing and an ender chest, which are the two things I'm focusing on right now. While we're here, let's explore a little bit of the interior of the fortress, once again leaving a few safety bars up in case wither skeletons are around the corner. We can usually detect their presence from sound effects and subtitles, so that's no problem. One of the things I want to get is right here. We have a staircase that has a cluster of nether wart around it, and we'll grab as much of that as I dare to, plus a little bit of soul sand to grow it on once we get back to the overworld, and those are all the supplies we will need for potion brewing. I am tempted to press on further up into the inside section of the fortress here and see if we can find any loot chests, because the traditional 3 diamonds might be lurking in a loot chest somewhere in here. Not certain that we'll get any, but it's worth a try. Well, we've got a few loot chests here around the corner, and I don't hear any wither skeletons quite yet, so let's take a look at this. We got 1 gold ingot there, a little bit of horse armor. I'm going to leave the majority of that for now. We have 1 diamond. Okay, well, it's not 3, but it's certainly some, and I always appreciate finding diamonds in these loot chests. There is also another chest down here. Gonna quickly make sure that we can safety bar this off as well, and we got a bit of nether wart in there as well to add to our collection. Fantastic. And a spare saddle will not go amiss if we happen to need another strider later. One more loot chest for the road, a little bit more gold, and another saddle, which I'll swap out for that empty glass bottle. You might want to destroy these chests as you go, just so the loot despawns and you don't get faked out by loot chests here in future if we come back and explore this fortress. But honestly, I never rely on the loot from these structures anyway, because it's never really that great, so I think we're probably just going to leave a lot of it here, and we can come back for it in future if we want it. There's another little nether wart garden here. We may as well grab as much of this as we can, so we don't have to grow as much of it once we are back in the overworld. And of course, if we get multiple plants, then oh, is that really the first crop I've planted as nether wart? That's wild. Okay. Oh, there's a couple more loot chests up here, and I did just end up getting a couple more blaze rods from some blazes that had spawned up here, so I think it may be worth investigating this upper part of the fortress after all. Yeah, we got plenty of blaze rods now. That might even be enough for our Eyes of Ender later on. No more diamonds in the loot chest, only a little bit of golden gear, and I think that's probably the furthest extent of the Nether Fortress. Once again, just like horse armor and chest plates, not really worth having at this stage. Kind of amazed that we have not encountered a single wither skeleton the entire time we've been here in the fortress, but that is just, I think, good luck and the fact that there's a ton of other hostile mobs around from spawning this fortress in the Crimson biome. So I think from there, it's probably time to make our way back to the Strider. I think this has been a successful Nether Fortress trip, and hopefully we'll be able to come back in future to gather a few more supplies. So with that taken care of, we will leave the fortress behind, return to our Strider, and it's time to head back to our spawn point where we can start a netherite mine. One last piece of advice if you plan on traveling by Strider frequently is to bring spare warped fungus with you, because when your warped fungus on a stick runs out of durability, the rod itself does not break, only the fungus does, so you can simply reattach a new warped fungus to the rod and continue striding. Now, where did I leave the lad? Oh, he's down there, isn't he? Yeah. Hey there, fella, good to see you again. Let's break out that netherrack and stride on home. I think home should be in this direction. Yeah, that seems about right. A little bit to the west, and we're on our way. And of course, on my way back, I find one that's even closer to my spawn point. This Nether Fortress right here is in a soul sand valley, and that might be incredibly useful later on if we want to build a wither skeleton farm. So, yeah, I think I'm going to tread carefully around this one, but we might be back to that one since it is a little bit closer to the center of our world. And our Strider friend has delivered us safe and sound back to our Crimson Forest starting point, which I think is actually where I'm going to start digging for netherite. We're going to do it basically at the bottom of this staircase, and since we're at Lava Lake level, I'm fairly confident that if we dig down here, we're not going to encounter too many obstructions. The problem with digging for netherite right now is going to potentially be lava getting in the way, but for the most part, we should be okay. We want to dig down to Y coordinate 15 layers above bedrock, and that should be, in my recollection, the best place to start mining for netherite. It looks like we ended up breaking into a pretty sizable amount of lava on the left-hand side there, so I'm just going to divert the tunnel slightly to the right and see if we can dig around that, because the last thing we want is lava pouring into our tunnel from the side. But yeah, let's see if we can maybe, yeah, okay, we can cut that off at least. So now we're down here at Y15, which is pretty much the optimal height for mining netherite if you're just mining for it normally. We are going to dig a really long tunnel using my efficiency and unbreaking pickaxe. We're going to leave the fortune one in case we encounter any quartz or anything like that, but there we go. Okay, the lava is pouring in from the sides a little bit. We just need to block these lava areas off as we go. There are a couple of different approaches to lava pockets like this. You can just try and get as close in as possible and block them up like so, and then continue the tunnel that way. You could take a fire resistance potion and swim through the lava, trying to block off as many areas as possible before the duration of your potion runs out. But to conserve fire resistance potions, I tend to try and go slow and steady. I open up an area that's safe so that I can stand behind a block of netherrack as I'm getting rid of the lava, and we just place a few blocks of netherrack that we've gathered from the tunnel until the lava sources are all gone. And with those lava sources taken care of, we're just going to mine through everything we can at this level. We could potentially make branches off to either side if we wanted to, but the goal is to eventually run into pockets of ancient debris. If we encounter gold or quartz ore, you have the option of fortuning that, which is especially good if you have mending, because it's going to repair your tools as you go. And there we go. Eventually we ran into some ancient debris. Let's see how many we've got. It could just be one, 1, but it looks like it's 2. A fantastic find. I'm actually really happy about that because we found 2 ancient debris in a previous episode. Add those together, that makes 4, and 4 is the amount that we need in order to craft our first netherite ingots. So we have at least got enough that we'll be able to do that. Now let's make some of the gold nuggets I've been gathering into gold ingots, just to save a little inventory space here, and we need to make sure that we have room for the all-important ancient debris block. Let's see if we get a third one out of this vein. Looks like maybe we don't, although I always check in the surrounding blocks just in case the vein has generated diagonally, but nope, it looks like we just got 2 from that vein. Ancient debris only generates in veins of up to 3. If you find more than that in one area, you've been lucky enough to find 2 veins generating next to each other, but I think it's probably worth exploring a little further into the nether before we decide to call it a day for mining. It is day 96 of the world, so we got a few days worth of mining ahead of us before we return to the overworld and we can make our first netherite equipment. In the end, we hit a lava pocket down this tunnel that I figured wasn't really worth cleaning up. It was kind of too big, so instead I decided to go back and get some TNT, because I think TNT is probably the best method for searching for larger amounts of ancient debris. In the meantime, though, since I have a bed on me, I may as well point out that some people like to use the bed method of mining netherite, which is simply to dig a short passage into the wall here, basically as far as you can go. I'm going to drink a fire resistance potion before we do this. Place a bed on the furthest block away that you possibly can. Make sure you have a few blocks in between yourself and the bed, and you can right-click the bed for an explosion to happen. Now, that explosion clears out a large area, and if you are high enough up in the world, that can potentially cause lava to come in from the ceiling, so you might need to be a little bit careful there. And of course, it sets fires everywhere because beds explode when right-clicked by a player in the nether or the end dimensions. As you can see, that does expose quite a large area, and a second bed placed in this area will actually expose it even more, clearing out probably about half a chunk's worth of room, which is usually enough to detect any ancient debris if it existed in that chunk in that particular area. But it looks like we didn't find any ancient debris in this area this time around, and to be perfectly honest, I don't like the bed method very much. It is kind of volatile, it involves exploding stuff at close range, and in a hardcore world that you can lose to a violent explosion like that very easily, I much prefer the controlled explosion of TNT. So we're going to go back, grab as much TNT as I can bring back with me, and we're going to try and excavate this area for a little bit more ancient debris. I'm going to stash away the rest of the stuff that we brought back from the nether with us, including the blaze rods, nether wart, soul sand, and of course we can add our ancient debris to the collection here. We have 4 ancient debris. That's wonderful to have. A little bit more glowstone dust that I can pile into this chest. We'll leave the quartz in there as well. And the netherrack can go in bulk storage later, but believe me, I've got a whole lot more of that coming. We have 18 TNT, so we should be able to space that out pretty evenly down that tunnel, and hopefully we'll get hold of a little bit more ancient debris. I'm going to run down this tunnel until a point where I cannot hear any lava in the surroundings, because ideally we want to make sure that we are away from any lava lakes to avoid lava just pouring in from the walls and making the terrain here inaccessible. These piglins seem like a nice starting point, so let's place some TNT here. We're going to be placing it 3 to 4 blocks apart because in theory we can optimize the amount of space that we are excavating with the TNT by placing them a few blocks apart here. But if you've got a ton of TNT at this point, if you started farming gunpowder and sand, you can just spam it basically as much as you want, because you'll always be able to make more. I think all of this has basically been scavenged from the desert temples that I've found. I've got 4 TNT left on me. We are stopping just next to the area we excavated with the bed, and from a distance we can light the TNT with a flame bow, stand back, and watch the fireworks. And as you can see, that has already exposed a couple of blocks of ancient debris in the area, which is wonderful to see. Ancient debris is a blast-proof block, meaning that if you blow TNT up near it, you won't end up destroying the block itself like you will with some other stuff. And would you look at that? Right underneath that lava flow, there were 2 more blocks of ancient debris. So we were not too far off with our bed, but that right there is another ingot's worth of netherite. Not only is the block itself blast-proof, but netherite is actually fireproof, and ancient debris blocks will not burn in lava. So we could safely mine these if we wanted to. The problem, of course, then being, as a player, we need to be able to walk in and collect them. So I'm going to shut off a lot of these lava sources while I can. We'll get rid of that one coming out of the wall there as well, and while we're at it, we'll mine the block of debris that I'm standing on, because that is our 5th block of ancient debris in the world, 6th, 7th, and 8th. And 9th, it turns out. There was one hiding underneath one of the other ones, so that's our next ingot, already off to a good start. We will, of course, need gold ingots to combine with the netherite scrap we get from smelting ancient debris. The combination of gold and netherite scraps makes a full ingot of netherite, and we should only need 1 ingot per tool upgrade, but it's still a pretty expensive crafting recipe. And it's also worth noting that behind us in the tunnel, because we've excavated such a large space, we are now going to get hoglins spawning because we're under a crimson forest. So keep that in mind. Keep an eye on your back and collect any pork chops that you need for food. Just a couple more TNT left to explode. Hopefully we get to expose a couple more veins of ancient debris with this. We didn't get any more debris from that last few blocks of TNT, so I'm going to walk a few paces into the corridor here. We're going to place the remaining 4 a few blocks apart like so, and we're going to blow this up from a safe distance, which should be, I'd say about here should be fine. Yeah, looks like we didn't expose any more ancient debris with that either. The debris can generate in, I think, roughly 2 veins per chunk, and those veins usually generate somewhere between bedrock and about Y22, so chances are there are a few just hiding in the walls or the floor or the ceiling here, but we're not going to be able to get all of them, which is why it kind of helps to spam TNT when you're looking for every single piece of debris you can. But I think with 5 more ancient debris to our name, 4 waiting for us back at home, I think that's enough for 2 netherite ingots, so I think we should at least get ourselves 2 netherite pickaxes. We'll try and get a silk touch pickaxe and a fortune pickaxe converted to netherite, and I think that will be a perfect way to wrap up our first 100 days in this world and move on to whatever's next. So with 9 netherite scrap coming out of the blast furnace, that is our first netherite scrap in this world. We're going to run in here and grab ourselves a few gold ingots, which I should still have in here. Yeah, there we go. We got plenty of those. We will only need 8, and we can tuck our last netherite scrap in there. With our crafting table, we can turn those into 2 netherite ingots. And with a little bit more trading, let's see if our friend the toolsmith will provide us with a couple of fresh diamond pickaxes. Okay, a whole lot of stick trading later. We're ready to buy 2 diamond pickaxes from this guy, the Unbreaking 2, Efficiency 2. We're gonna have to disenchant those with the grindstone though, because hopefully the enchantment table is gonna give us something even better. We got a couple of chances to re-roll these, so let's see what we get. Silk Touch instantly, yes! Fantastic. I'm so happy we get Silk Touch at last. Haven't got any Silk Touch tools before this, and it also has Unbreaking 3. Pretty good. We can add Efficiency 4 to that very easily. Now let's see if we... Oh, are you kidding me right now? Enchanting table, you are spoiling me. Look at that. We have Efficiency 4 on one, Unbreaking 3 on the other, but we have Fortune 3 and Silk Touch on brand new pickaxes. I honestly would absolutely love to get some books enchanted as well while we've got the levels to spare, but we could always get hold of a few extra books from villagers in the next little while if we need to. Although it occurs to me that I could have done that the other way round, because isn't netherite supposed to be more enchantable than diamond? Either way, I'm not certain I could guarantee that I would have got Silk Touch and Fortune on those as well, but I think it would have been a better thing to do, potentially, to make them netherite pickaxes first, weird though that sounds. Either way, what do we have on a book? Loyalty 3, Feather Falling 2, and Piercing. Not honestly super worth it. I wonder if maybe we should disenchant this one, upgrade that to netherite, and give that a try. But we got the enchantments that we wanted, and now it is finally time to get ourselves a Fortune 3 netherite pickaxe and a Silk Touch netherite pickaxe as well. Fantastic. I can't believe we have these tools. It is day 99 of this world. And here in front of our beautiful hobbit hole with 2 netherite pickaxes in hand on day 99 of the world, that is where we are going to leave this episode of the Hardcore Survival Guide. Folks, I do hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.